and it's like, well, our carts are electric, and we're like, oh, really? Electric go-karts? Well, I tell you what, these electric go-karts moved. I mean, this little indoor facility down the straightaway, they'd hit about 45 is what they were saying, and it felt like 45. They cruised pretty good, but I smoked Corey. That's all I can really say about it. And he's not here to defend himself, so too bad for him.
Wait, hang on.
Those things were fun.
Corey's supposed to be this hot shot go-kart driver. What happened? Did you stuff him in the wall?
Well, see, actually, I've raced karts myself. And one season I took first in the Star. I think it was first in the Star and second in the Open. And that was the first year I raced. But no, Corey told me he was going to spin me. Well, usually that comes from a person that's behind you. They have to be behind you to spin you, right? Well, I had to let him go so I could get behind him. He wasn't actually. I got the total weight advantage on him. These things are pretty evenly, electric motor is an electric motor, and the setup might have been a little different. Who knows? But we went at it twice, and the second time I let him pass me a couple of times so I could chase him down, and one time I passed him, and the next time he said he was going to take me out, so I had to take him out. So I spun him, and we had a blast. It was went
good.
Out of there adrenaline.
Did you get the black flag?
No, I didn't. They didn't say a thing to us.
Huh?
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
No, man.
Corey's like, oh, we're racers. Give us fast ones. So it was a blast. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
Vegas.
Well,
I wish I could have made the trip with you guys. It would have been great for me to be there and to experience the show firsthand like you all did, but I was stuck here in gloomy Oregon just hanging out.
Yeah, I felt for you, too. I was down there in the sunshine,
You and Corey and all my friends that were down there.
There was a lot of people.
They're sending me pictures back and forth, and I'm like, dude, seriously?
Yeah. It was a blast.
Oh, man.
I can't even, Fremont Street, the go-karts. We didn't get to do a lot of, actually we weren't, I don't know if ready to talk about this or not, but IMCA TV kind of restricted what we could do down there. So am I okay to say that?
Yeah.
I hope so.
It is what it is. And, I think
it is.
We've got to respect their contracts and their deals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It is what it is. But speaking of IMCA, we were talking last night over dinner. My buddies and I.
You and your buddies.
Yeah, not
Corey,
you, not
Corey and I
Warren.
weren't invited to. Right.
I'm sorry, guys. It happens occasionally. But they came out their new modified rules for next season.
I saw that.
And I was just reading them real quick while we were on commercial, and some of them are a little interesting. And Race fans, we want to hear your feedback on this. What do you think about these IMCA rule changes? Because this is going to affect all our tracks out here. All the modified racing in the Northwest is primarily the IMCA modifieds. So one of the big things that came back, and that's probably the hottest button issue of the whole thing, is 604 crates are now allowed their 2-inch spoiler again.
Oh, wow.
So last season we had no spoiler. The 2015 season we had a 2-inch spoiler for crates. 2014 season you had the 3-inch spoiler for crates. So now the 2-inch spoiler is back. What's going on with that?
I have no idea.
What do you think about that, Warren?
Yeah, I think you're asking the wrong person. Boy, I don't know. I don't know a lot about. I'm going to be straight up. I don't know a lot about the IMCA rules and stuff. I'm a racing fan. I love to play on the cars and stuff. And to be honest, if it were a NASCAR rule we were discussing, I could probably discuss it with you and know what I'm talking about. But I really do. I know what a spoiler is.
A spoiler's a spoiler. I mean, if
right.
you give a spoiler to a crate motor that's got 300 and some odd horse versus no spoiler to an open motor that's got 400, 500 horse. I mean,
how's it worked out in the past? I mean,
it's been a mixed bag. I mean, I think this is going to be one of those folks that's it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we saw the crates sort of dominate there for a little bit. Last year, it was a fairly even match, I would say, in my personal opinion. But at the same time, you're going to add a 2-inch blade back on the modifieds for the 604 crates.
Well, every bit of downforce counts, and if given a more downforce for having less power evens it out, then I think that's what their ultimate goal is it not? I mean,
That's what I think. I mean,
would imagine.
you can make up for downforce. I mean, you can put an amazing shock package on it.
Sure.
You can put an amazing, spoiler package on it, or aero package, which is going to include a spoiler now for the 604 crates. But you're going to have the open motors that have all that more horsepower, not having the downforce.
Right. And that's what, and I'm sure in IMCA's mind, is evening the playing field, evening it out.
That's what you would hope. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think the 604, the spoilers for the 604, I think that's going to be a very interesting dynamic to watch unfold this next season for racing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So, some of the other rules that came out is, some of the other changes. I'm just scrolling through them here real quick. They've done some rear suspension rules too. It's really technical.
Yeah. I bet it is.
And there's some things I'm saying here, and as a crew chief, I'm pulling from my experience going, okay, what are we doing here with these suspension rules? What's going on?
In the rear suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's something I'm going to throw at you, and I wish I had talked to you before the show about it, because I may sound like a total idiot here, but some people down there were talking about running a horizontal shock in the rear. Do you know anything about that?
I've heard of it.
And I guess the person we were talking to about it said it worked for them. I can't even fathom it. I wish I could have seen the car and seen exactly what they're talking about. But a horizontal shock.
Horizontal shock.
Yeah.
That's the thing about race car drivers, is they are so crafty that they're gonna pick stuff up. They're gonna come back and see what we've got going on, and anything that can give them an advantage, they're gonna do and they're gonna use. So, I mean, that horizontal shock idea,
Corey, can you elaborate on that at all? I think it might have been that night on Fremont we were talking about horizontal shocks. Maybe I dreamt it. I'm not sure.
No, that discussion did take place. And, I don't fully understand that. But, if it works for him, it works.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, it just sounded...
It was, it's something it was new to me too, but like I said, I hadn't been on a race car in 5 years, and it was fun to be back in the pit area and helping out. But sorry I had to step away for a minute there, guys. We had a little situation out front at Jetstream, and let that be a lesson. Video cameras.
Did they?
Video cameras will catch you. That's all I'm going to say.
Really?
So
right on.
It happens.
It happens, and it probably won't happen with that guy again. But
Well, it's been. It was what, 3 weeks ago, I think it was. I was over here and we were looking at routing the wires for the security cameras, and now you've had an incident where you had to go look at the film.
Yep.
And somebody, I would imagine, is probably on their way to jail.
It looks like it's going to be that way.
Well, that's security cameras paid off.
That will let you know. The security cameras at Jetstream actually work, and they're not props, and you'll get caught. So what did I miss while I was away?
Well, we talked about that young racer out of Georgia.
Yeah, and then the young lady.
Yeah, the young lady.
Horrible wreck.
Horrible. And we've been discussing the 604 rules.
Okay.
That just came out, or I should say the 604, the modified rules that just came out from IMCA yesterday.
So now I understand. I heard one little bit of body rules. There's something about the minimum height of a door. Is it?
That's what I've heard too. I'm still. I literally all we've gotten. I've gotten to, and I'm down to section 11 now. Is the spoiler.
Okay, now they're bringing. What's this new spoiler? It's a small spoiler.
The 2-inch blade is back.
Okay, the 2-inch.
For the crate.
For the crate only.
Right.
Open motors, you still have to run a full back, just flat deck.
Right.
And then they're talking in here rear suspension stuff.
Okay.
The rule change for the 2017 season: one bracket mounted solid to the axle with lower link, or one floating birdcage with upper and lower links allowed per side. Additional shock coilover eliminator clamp bracket solidly mounted to axle tube is allowed per side. Shocks and all coilover eliminators must be mounted to birdcage or bracket below the bottom of the axle tube and to upper frame rail. Spring using jack bolt may be mounted directly to the top of the axle housing.
So compared to the current rules, how different is this?
They're getting very specific about what you can do with your shocks.
That's what it
springs.
sounds like.
They're eliminating gray areas. Is
right.
What they're doing, and they all strive to do that, and that's the way it should be. Everybody has the same set of rules to play by, and then it's fair racing.
Right. So let me ask you a question. if you see verbiage in a rule that is questionable, given what you just read, and you do something different, do you consider that cheating if it's not in the verbiage?
Well, it depends on what you've done, there can be a blatant infraction of the rule, and then there's the gray area, and then there's the rule.
Right.
So it depends on what it is specifically you're talking about.
Because you and I can read the same rule and interpret that just a little bit different, and racers are racers, and they're gonna look for that gray area.
Of course.
And
take
that's
advantage
what it's all
of
about.
Anything that's not written.
Right.
Not written down, yeah.
I think just not to get off the subject here real quick, but the greatest story I've ever heard of anybody cheating goes back to old DW in the NASCAR days. You remember this story?
I'm not sure.
Oh God.
So when he was driving for Junior Johnson in the number 11 Budweiser Monte Carlo, they said that they knew that he was cheating because his cars were always just a little bit lighter than everybody else at the end of the race. And what he was doing was he was on the driver's side. They were filling the bottom door frame, right under there on the frame rail.
Frame rail, yeah.
Filling up 50 pounds worth of buckshot.
Right.
Well, on that frame rail, there was also a slide. Whereas he exited pit road, he'd get up by the grass, open that slide up, dump the bearings, they'd all fly out in the grass. Nobody saw it. Okay, and it lightens up the car 50 pounds. NASCAR knew. They just knew that Walter was cheating, and they couldn't prove it because every time they jacked the car up, they couldn't find how he was cheating. Well, they couldn't find how he was cheating because every time they jacked the car up, their own jack was plugging up the hole that he was dumping the lead out of. So, I mean...
that is a very similar incident happened at the Winter Heat down in Tucson. I was down there with Herschel McGriff, and I won't name the driver's name, but he's out of Washington State. And he had done something very similar to what you're talking about right now. The trouble is, when he went to release his lead shot, he released it coming off the track, and it led directly to his pit.
That is not good.
Disqualified.
That's the wrong way to do it right there.
If you're going to do it, and when it comes down to is, let's just be honest. The rules are printed on a white sheet of paper in black ink.
Mm-hmm.
Rules are black and white.
That's it.
Now, when you start talking, in my opinion, there's no gray area on rules. It's black, it's white. Then you have your interpretation on rules.
Yeah.
And what I see here, based on this suspension rule, is the spirit of the rule is they want all the shocks mounted and springs mounted vertically.
Right.
That's what I'm seeing here.
Oh, you mean it directly on top of the housing? So
no, they want the shock and spring to be vertical, not horizontal, not laterally.
Does it say anywhere where it does not say no horizontal mount?
It does not. But what it says is upper frame rail.
You can mount it
to.
Oh, so it tells you where you have to. Well,
yeah.
Then that'll limit. I mean,
that's pretty.
There's no getting around that.
Yeah, but you can also take. There's things you can do. I'm already thinking.
Look at it. Damn crew chief.
Wheels are turning.
Well, think about
I love it.
How many times has Chad Canals, Tony Uri Jr., Steve Addington, how many times Evernham, how many times have those guys been suspended from NASCAR for getting caught?
Yeah.
Right, and that's just when they got caught.
Well,
but
Jimmy Johnson went out Sunday and had a after tech infraction and had to go to start in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd he finish?
He
right
won
in the front.
He won the championship 7-time.
Yeah, but don't even get me going on that. That's puts a bitter taste in my mouth because this new NASCAR points format is a complete joke.
It was what I'm talking about though. Is I'm referring to rules,
right?
And they had something about tape on the corner bar there, the A post, and he was peeling tape off there. I don't know what specifically the infraction was, but it was post tech. So
that's
I saw,
interesting.
Yeah, it was really, just a little aero advantage he was looking for that might have been a gray area. They nailed him on it, So
see, and I'm that guy. I don't have a problem. I really don't have a problem with people looking for that gray area because if it's not specified,
it's always going to be that way,
right? If it's not specified whether you can or you can't, I would look at it as like, well, they didn't say that we can't. Why not? If you can get that advantage, if you can find a way to do it, if it's not a blatant infraction, like you said, I don't have a problem with it. Joel,
I agree.
And
it's
if there were no rules, it may as well just have it wide open, As a matter of fact, I think we need to have something like that around here.
Oh, I miss those days.
No rules. Run
race
what you brung.
Race what you brung. That would be. Oh,
I miss those days.
Oh, dear
Joel,
Lord.
you